All right, CTM, what's going on? Oh, so happy to be here with you this morning. That live session was pretty fun today. The markets are kind of explosive. The first day back in September, just as we expected. And you know what? The hardest point to trade for the style we trade is exactly now when you could see some pretty big or possible trend changes and shifts. It's because I'm always lagging, right? I'm not looking for that turn in the market. I'm looking once the turn that it's clear that it has occurred to go ahead and start trading back towards the trend. By the way, if I pull up the true trend right over here right now in the DXY, what are we looking at? Let's see. So you can see that it already showed a trend change over here, and I'm not following it yet because you all know I'm looking for this confirmation. So I will be a little behind, but I'll be getting the meat of it if it does occur. Interesting, right? All right. This session, this one's better. So by the way, I want to really get everyone on the same page here as we're starting here. This is a very important time of year for me, for you all. I want everyone to get, it's so critical to be a patient trader. I want everyone, while we're going over this session here right now, to jot down two different things. Anything that you feel that you're focusing on that is really important as a positive, that's working well for you. And I also want you to make a note of anything that you feel that you're struggling with and need to work on. So the pro side and the con side, and I want to look at those later and share those together, because something that you're experiencing, there's a good chance someone else is, and something that you've overcome, there's a good chance that's going to help someone else overcome that as well. And then also towards the end, because we're in no rush here, we could go get into any specific questions that anyone might have. Yeah, absolutely. It's best to stay out until things clear up. At the same time, you're also at a place, depending on what market we're looking at, right, where there's a lot of opportunity, because it's always when you're at that juncture, when you're into that important trend line, that important support or resistance level, where if it breaks, you might be seeing an actual trend change. But that's also the place that you want to look to lean in. So you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to step in when it's time to step in. One of the things that I noticed is because the reason for the 3 trade rule a week, and it's really important. If you're starting, by the way, if you're just starting out, there's a couple of things that you need to be doing to be on the right page. All right. The first thing that you need to be doing, and this is assuming you already have your charts set up on the 8-hour time frame, that you've put in your support and your resistance levels, right? And you only need to add 2 resistance levels and 2 support levels, for each chart. The single most important thing you can do as a trader is be doing your chart analysis. Forget worrying about entries. Forget about placing trades. It all starts with whether you're starting from square one or whether or not you're a professional, is with that chart analysis every day. You have to have your list, right? Someone recommended that I actually just go ahead and save my watch list and provide that file onto the course module. I could do that easily. That's no problem. You have to have your watch list. The reason I don't do it is because I tend to look at different charts than other people. I look at the ICE charts, the IDC, and other people are looking at other data feeds. You need to be doing your analysis every day, okay? And you need to start off taking 3 trades per week. And you have to force yourself to do those 3 trades a week. Is that the ideal number? For some, not for others. For some, it's a little less. Rarely is it more. For some, maybe it's only 1 or 2 trades a week, and that's great. I don't want you actually making that adjustment until you get to constantly profitable. If you put up 3 months in a row of constantly profitable, at that point, you could decide, and you'll know exactly what you need to do if you want to take less trades. But until you get there, let's not do that, okay? Until you reach this goal, you're taking 3 trades a week. Now that the summer's over, from here into the middle of December, 3 trades a week. Each of those trades, you're risking 0.5% per trade. That's absolutely crucial. And by the way, that's very low risk. It's extraordinarily low risk. And once you get here, you're now risking 1%. Okay? Easy. I want you to continue doing that until you reach that 3 consecutive months of 1% or greater, and then move to the 1% per risk. Other two things that are so crucial, two things. Okay. By the way, if someone doesn't have all of these live sessions, let me know. I'll include the link later in the session. You should have the CTM recommended playlist. The other thing is that each week you need to write up your weekly recap, holding yourself accountable. This includes, right, you have your account linked to MyFX book. You're writing up the 3 trades you took, and you're reviewing them. It's not only important what you did right, it's also important what you did wrong. And then a lot of traders are now at the end of the month writing up a monthly recap. That's also great and good. If you're doing all of these things, let me go ahead in case anyone wants to write it down. I'll include it in an email, actually. Hold on. For some reason, I can't do that. Hold on with me. I'll include these all in an email. Oh, Brandon, I didn't get a chance to do that. I'm going to come back to that in 1 second. If you start here, right, with these simple steps, it's going to take you. Now, the one thing that I did notice in August, right, quite a few traders were on their 3rd month of consistently profitable, and it happened very quickly, right? So just listen to this. This is very important here. Like I said, other things that people encounter, you could then encounter yourself. Now, there could be people that have not even gotten here yet, and if you've been in the program for over 2 months and are not yet here, and you're doing this, and you're doing those 3 steps that I just outlined, then I really want to know about it. Send me an email, and with the title subject first goal, because we need to figure out what's going on. Okay. There are a lot of people I saw over here who, on 4 months already here, and I noticed that they became overconfident. Almost taking it for granted, thinking that it's easy. First of all, always be humbled by the markets. Always have that attitude that the markets they deserve, they warrant that whole posture of not believing you ever have it figured it out or that it's easy, because that's not the case. And I cautioned a lot of people to stay away from the markets at the end of August, the last couple of weeks. They felt that they didn't want to do that, and then they saw a sharp decline in their performance for the first time in 3 months, and then a lot of them got back on the right side of that trade. So again, it's all learning experience. Don't get too comfortable. I saw Brandon put up, I wanted to highlight it. I'm interested in that, learning to be more patient. A lot of bad habits that I built up that I need to overcome. 2 months into the course, I've been up about 2% overall. Thank you much. Excellent, Burma Bill. Excellent. Okay. So I should probably send out an email highlighting that, but I do. If you're signed up for the course and you're not receiving the emails, there's about 4 or 5 email threads. Then you need to check your bulk folder, your spam folder. It's very important. Everyone's there. We are just beginning in my mind right now. We are just beginning. It's been actually a phenomenal year, 2020. It's been one of the, going into 2020. You remember, Jesse? I know you were here. Heath was here. We were talking about how volatility was picking up, and we were going to be seeing some good trading. We've seen volatility pick up way more than any of us expected. 2020 has been a phenomenal trading year. I have this like concern over my head that, if you remember, those that were trading back in April, was a very difficult month to find out what side of the market to be on in this area over here. It was very, very difficult to know whether or not we were going to come back down and test 2,300, and I said it on multiple live streams, or go up to 4,100, right? That was a tough area. And it wasn't really until June, from June on, it became very easy for us. Right now, we're at a critical juncture. It could become very difficult. It could be a very difficult fall month. I'm going to be spending an enormous amount of time in our live sessions focused in on FX in every single session. That's what's important right now. We're going to be really focused in on FX, going over our setups every day. I'm also going to be, now that it's September, right, weekly posting videos as I go over people's weekly recaps so that you're learning from other people. I'm going to be going over those weekly recaps, putting together a couple of montage videos a week and uploading those. Look out and watch all of those. They're very, very helpful. Nice, Dan. Very good. It was also, I mean, for me personally, Dan, you know, this August traded a little different than normal, for sure. We saw that the moves actually continued, while I was cautious that they wouldn't. I stood aside on purpose. I'm glad I stood aside for the most part. I took a few trades throughout the end of August. But when you are, I don't know what just happened there, Dan, when you are not sure, it's best to stand aside. My only one concern, I have no control over that too much. I could work something out. My only concern is that I don't want people to get frozen. If you find yourself getting frozen, there's a difference between standing aside, because as right over here, hold on a second. Bear with me all. Right over here. Is it best to stay out now until things clear up? There's a difference, Jan, and I know your ability here. There's a difference between knowing when to stay out because things are not clear, and there's a difference also between, like, you have the fear of actually taking a trade because you're afraid to take a loss or be wrong. Those are two entirely different things. You have to know yourself and know which one that you're fighting with. If it is the latter, if you're afraid to take a loss, then you have to force yourself to trade. If you are uncertain and unclear and you just want to stay outside of the market until things are clearer, that absolutely you should do. You have to know which of the two it is. Okay? Yeah, I mean, so this is a great question. A lot of people who come into the program, they really are attracted to trading gold and silver. It's a lot easier to trade FX, but there's only one single goal, and this is a lofty goal, by the way. I hope you understand the magnitude of the goal here. Of 24 to 30%, 36% a year is an enormous goal. A lot of, I don't know, I wish I had the full stats. There are a lot of people who are putting up really solid profits on their way to do that, which is extraordinarily in itself if you understand how difficult the markets are to trade. Your goal should not be like, if you're attracted to gold and silver markets, those are investments, in my opinion. You should look to continue to accumulate both physical gold and silver and be looking to hold those. Focus right now on only trading the foreign exchange market on a demo until you understand it. If you learn to trade here on a proper market, whether you go to equity markets, whether you go to gold and silver, or individual stocks, you will have the clarity you need to trade those markets successfully. A market is a market. An instrument is an instrument. But you're looking to place edge upon edge, and the FX is a lot easier to trade. Wes, great to have you back. All right. Again, so by the way, the most important piece for everyone who was here with us in the summer is going to be for as we get to mid-December. And I'm like, listen, stand aside. Anyone who didn't stand aside in August, the late August, I think will stand aside then in December, and it's the right thing to do. Rex, that's not a bad thing to be, right? Right. That's not a bad thing to be. I need you to send me an email though, saying first goal, so that and include your MyFX book into it, so that we could dig in together and now get you Rex from here to here. All right, that's a big step, and I need to look in with you personally and figure out what adjustments need to be made in order to get you there. It could be so many different things that it's not possible. Now, break even is not a bad place to be, right? You saw in the Conquering the Markets Telegram group last night. I posted the one review that I looked at. It was Yasin, who you could see he was able to stay break even or better throughout all of August for a few weeks, which for a lot of people is mentally tough to do. But that's the right thing to do, waiting for that next breakout to occur. And that's where, and as he did, clean up on some of the profits. Mike, suggesting we step aside. No, I'm not suggesting anyone step aside right now. I'm not suggesting anyone step aside right now. And why I say that is, and I'll show you. I'll go to the Euro US dollar. Is it the best thing to be looking at right now because of the ECB meeting on Thursday? That's a tough one. All right. Should anyone? All right. Let me start over because there's a little bit of confusion. If you're unclear right now and you want to step aside, as long as you understand that you're stepping aside because things are not clear and it's not because you're afraid of taking a loss, then by all means, keep that awareness and stand aside. Don't forget, this is the first day back after Labor Day, after everyone has come back from their late August vacations. This is when volume picks up in the markets. September is notorious for being very volatile. Okay? So yeah, that's a little bit of a tougher scenario. But right now, for example, on the Euro US dollar, as you're into this level of support, this trend line support over here, as I'm into horizontal local support right there also, if that resumes up during London, is that a place to take a trade? Possibly. Don't be afraid not to trade over here. We'll look at some other pairs as well. We'll get that awareness, right? If we break down over here and then you could see us resume off that, I don't think that you should be standing aside right now, right? I personally don't think people should be standing aside right now. I also see one big mistake I see by Monday, people have used 2 or 3 of their trades. I tend not to look to take trades until mostly Wednesday in London, Thursday in London, Friday morning in London. Monday and Tuesday, I generally like to stand aside. All right? Don't waste all your trades so quickly. If that's a great awareness of self, that you realize that you're waiting for the perfect trade and that you're often missing them. And that's exactly why you have that 3 trade rule, where you have to make those 3 trades a week. That's prevent people who freeze up. So you have to, if you understand that you're having a problem missing trade, first of all, make sure that you're trading on a demo. Make sure that you're risking 0.5% per trade, right? And then force yourself to take through those 3 trades. That's what's going to build the confidence, because you're going to find yourself winding up on the right side of the trade. Rex, I don't know, when you're saying that you're right around break even. I don't know if it's because your stops are too tight, or you're moving your stop loss to break even too soon, or because you're not allowing those trades to move. Send me an email titled First Goal. So, Brahma Bull, first of all, horizontal support and resistance. You're saying that you've been able to enter successfully using support and resistance levels, but not so much with trend lines, right? So, all right, when we talk about, first of all, horizontal support and resistance always carry more weight than trend lines. Trend lines are important. I do frame it this way. What we do is we follow price. Price is the most important, around the market structure of support and resistance with the help of trend lines and chart patterns. So notice the order. Price is most important, support and resistance with the help of trend lines, and also chart patterns. Very important over there. Now, yeah, so it sounds like we need a video just on trend lines, which we don't have, and I could do that. So one thing that I'm kind of interested in myself as I read this comment, that you stood aside the last week of August and first week of September, great. Now looking for clarity and watching, certain pairs. The pairs that you're watching, by the way, and all kind of set up right now, I focused a lot, not intentionally. It's just the setups I wound up taking was against the US dollar for all of July and all of August, and against the Japanese yen. I feel like now might be the time to focus in on cross pairs, because those trends on the dollar and the yen, well, they're becoming a little, how do you say, jumpy. So I'm going to be watching out for that, right? But yes, I agree that every pair you just mentioned is right now at a critical, you could see over here, we're into support, right? We could wind up holding that. Will, let me have you looked over here? Hold on, Will, just to give you the link. Oh. In the frequently asked questions, they go over that, Will, how exactly to do that. Yeah, Dan. So when you're using Oanda, right, especially connected to TradingView, also on the Orlando app, it's literally been over. It's been over 15 years since I've used Oanda like that. But they give you. It's not how many units you're trading. You're risking 0.5% per trade. So it doesn't matter if your stop loss, Dan, is 50 pips away or 150 pips away. Make sure not using a set amount of units per trade, but you're risking always 0.5% each time you take a trade. With Oanda, you're entering one trade and you could exit in pieces. It makes it a lot easier. That's right, Greg. It should be set by risk. That's exactly correct. All right. So first of all, a couple of things. I want everyone starting over from square one today who's not following the program. You're not following the program if you're taking more than 3 trades a week. You're not following the program if you're not buying off support and uptrends and selling off resistance and downtrends. You're not following the program if you're risking more or less than 0.5% per trade until you get and graduate from consistently profitable. You're not following the program if you're not writing up and holding yourself accountable each week, a weekly review of your 3 trades. All of those things are foundational. If you want success, that's the formula that you have to start and begin with. So if you're not doing those things from today on, you need to start doing those things and commit to that through December. Okay? Number 2, I'm definitely going to be very active in going ahead and sending out extra videos to Conquering the Market members on other people's weekly reviews, a montage every week. They're only about 10 or 15 minutes long. Watch those videos and learn from what other people are going through. See, I'm always interested in what I do wrong. So I want to see, when I read the beginning of that comment, Jesse, I should have waited to see what things look like during the Asian and then got ready to take my trade. I jumped in too early. So a lot of people, as the markets open up, like I know that yesterday was Labor Day in the US, FX was open, but a lot of us, as soon as the markets open up on Sunday evening Asia time, like we want to get into a trade, right? And that's normal, but you're better off waiting. You're waiting to that next day. Actually, patience is actually one of the most crucial things about being a successful trader. You got to have that patience, right? Really important. No, I don't close trades on Friday night, right? Yeah, but so listen, during the London, right? But I do take trades Friday morning in London all the time. I don't exit trades before the weekend ever, right? That's not a consideration. Oh, what's an Ethereum wallet? I mean, so Ethereum's a blockchain. There are many different wallets. I forgot whatever the Will, I forgot. It's been 3 or 4 years. What the main wallet for Ethereum you use? I could find that out for you, or you could just Google it. Let me know what you need to know there. There are a lot of people, by the way. A lot of first of all, BlockFi I'm very comfortable with. If you look at all the different exchanges that are partnered with, including Kraken, right, that are partnered with Pax Gold over here, it's becoming significant. But as far as Ethereum wallet, Will, I mean, it is off topic, but just Google it. If you have problems, send me an email. So Sean, in Oanda, this is right. You find out where you're putting your stop loss, and then you set your trade value to make your stop loss 0.5%. It's very easy to do. Oanda is actually, it's one of the best platforms for ease of use. I'm going to highlight that again. That's the way to do it. Enter in your stop loss, whatever level your stop loss is going to be at, and then change the risk to 0.5%. And it'll automatically calculate the trade value for you. You don't need to do it yourself. So if going long is a question from the previous candle high, if the current candle already has a wick above you, the price has been higher but pulled back, do you enter always the higher high? And that's using the wick of the candle, the highest price point of the previous candle, including the wick. The highest price point of the previous candle. I hold trades over the weekend all the time on FX. No, they're not. They're not. But I mean, I think the thing to focus in on over here with this question about whether or not the cross pairs are affected as much by the DXY. Well, the DXY is directly affected by the dollar, right? But what you need to focus on, and this is like probably one of the single most important perspectives of trading, is always trade what is on the chart. Trade what is happening. Trade what is on the chart. Okay? So, and keep that simple. Go very basic. Buying off support in uptrends, selling off resistance in downtrends. Nick, I've been having a tough time missing my entries during London session while I'm sleeping. So Nick, this is very simple. Because you're using Oanda, you don't even need the EA, because all you're doing is before you go to bed. It's before London opened. Now, the Asian session, you tend to get the most volatility at the opening, the first hour, and then 2 of that session. Later in the session, the moves tend to be very, very small. All right, let's keep this really simple. If you're looking to buy, right? If you're looking to buy something like right here, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, we're in an uptrend. We're into support right over here. Let's pretend that what happens, that here into Asia, well, 2 things could happen. So assuming this holds over here, right? As long as that holds over here, right? Now you're looking to buy. So what would happen? Let's say this was a down candle during Asia. You're going to bed and it's still 2 hours before London opens. That's a red candle. You're just setting your buy stop order right above that previous high. So either you wake up and that order triggered or it did not. If it did not, you cancel that order. Or what could happen, and that's most of the time how I do it. When I'm looking to buy, it's a red candle during Asia that I place my stop order in for. When I'm looking to sell, it's an up candle that I'm looking to place that buy stop order below. Now, there are some times, and it's less than 10% of the time, it's probably less than 7% of the time, that if you go into Asia and you have an up candle over here, it's an up candle, okay, that I would be looking to buy here on the higher high during London as well. Okay? So Asia did not make a higher high than New York. It made a lower high, but it's an up candle. That's the one that you might have a harder time with placing those orders with, right? And all I can say about that is that is the minority by far, the time that you would be looking to do that anyway. So don't worry about that right now. What all you need to do though, Nick, is, before going to bed, if you have a setup, is place that buy stop when looking to buy or sell stop when looking to sell. I'm not familiar with Exodus, but I'm not familiar with Ethereum wallets at this point at all. Or with Ananda, if I'm looking to go long, I just place a buy order where I'm... No. Always enter with the buy stop or sell stop. Dan, no, you could send a wire into BlockFi. Right? You could send a wire to BlockFi to purchase Bitcoin. Let's see, Michael, this question over here. Do you use an order of risk on pairs that you look at? Example, Australian dollar, British pound versus US dollar. No, I'm using your methods for position trades. Yeah, that's perfect. So, okay, Michael, what I do, so by the way, risk on, risk off pairs, US dollar is a risk off pair. Japanese yen is a risk off pair. Swiss franc is a risk off pair. Risk on pair, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, right? Now, the pound and the euro, those tend to be like what I would call moderate pairs, right? Moderate pairs. When you're seeing risk on, they're going to outperform the dollar and the yen pretty well. I don't look at it like that as far as the risk on, risk off pairs. I'm very aware that the past few months have been risk on. I was very aware during the crisis. Late February, March, we were in risk off. We were only focused on the Swiss franc and Japanese yen, and we were focused against the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar. Now, those were that's a very rare situation where you go that hard risk off. That's not the norm. Okay? When we enter that situation, you have to have that awareness that you're going to risk off pairs, and that's where you're focused in on, and you're actually looking to push those trades further than normal. Generally speaking, day to day, Michael, all is that you want to do is go over your 20 different pairs, 15 different pairs, 20, whatever it is, and you just want to look for what is setting up. Right now, for me, the Euro US dollar, that's a strong setup I have tonight. I'm into support, right? I'm going to flag it. I will then and I'll go through all the lists, flagging everything that is set up, showing a setup. Then before bed, sometime later in the evening, I'll spend, it might only be 5 minutes. That's all it takes, is going through the yellow flags and seeing if I want to place orders on any pair or any two pairs. I don't take more than 2 trades at a time. That's not how we trade, right? That's not how we trade. We're looking to take trades swing trades, we're looking what's happening right now in front of us. Trying to trade off of macro is very difficult because you could be wrong for a long time. Generally speaking, yes, right? You've seen that strong. The dollar was just eating every other fiat currency because the rates on the dollar were higher than everything else. That's not happening. I mean, now the rates of the dollar down to zero. That's not happening anymore. That edge is gone. But don't trade because of rate differentials ever. You could wind up being, don't do that. So on the 8-hour chart, right? The current candle has a higher wick than the previous candle. What wick do I use? The current candle or the previous candle high? So I'm not really understanding. Let me try one more time. If I'm on the 8-hour chart on London Open and the current candle has a higher wick than the previous candle. So let's just keep this very simple then to answer that. During London, if you're looking to buy, the entry point to buy is always a higher high than the London candle, than the Asian candle. The previous candle from the London candle is the Asian session. Your entry is always a higher high than the previous candle. Okay? Whatever the previous candle was, your current candle is the session you're in. The previous candle is right here. If I'm looking to go long here, if this was the Asian candle and this was London, that's my entry. It's always the higher high than the previous candle. No, not at all. So this is very important. A lot of the questions or the things that you're focused on are not things that we're focused on at all. We at zero. Okay, come down to the 8-hour time frame. Look for setups. If you're having trouble determining what setups are, right? Let me know. We'll focus in on that. But do not. So the markets are so complicated because of the fact that there are almost unlimited amount of variables. And you could decide which ones you pay attention to and which ones you don't. Right? You could put up moving averages. You could put up fibs. You could put up you could be using it at different time frames. You could be looking at the futures, months out. No, don't keep things as simple as possible. You're simply focused on price around support and resistance with the help of the trend lines and chart patterns. All right. One of the greatest edges we have is taking something so complicated and simplifying it down as much as possible. I'm so focused on not picking tops and bottoms. Well, Gene, listen, this is very simple. As long as you're not selling uptrends, you can never be picking tops. As long as you're not buying downtrends, you're never picking bottoms. But here, like for example, on the Australian dollar, US dollar, you're not picking a top if you try to buy off support. Picking a top, Gene, means that you're selling over here. Now, could someone go back out and say, like, we're in a downtrend, right? And try to sell that resistance? That would be a position trader. A position trader could do that, and maybe they're right. We don't do that, right? Look, see how far I'm zoomed out over here? This is where we're focused. I'm in a clear uptrend. I'm looking to buy off support. Gene, as long as you're not selling an uptrend, you're not picking a top. But don't think that you're trying to, this is not picking a top, trying to buy over here. Okay, that's a good workaround then, Dan. If for whatever reason, definitely from state to state, things vary. And that's a quick and easy workaround is then buying off of Gemini and transferring it into BlockFi. So is Michael too, for sure. But as far as time to focus, really the minimum requirement, I think, especially as you're just starting, because it's the more time the better. But you need a good, I want to say 20 minutes, but I think it's better to say a half hour, right? Probably you could get it done in 20 minutes, but a half hour, let's say, in the beginning of really going over your charts every day, flagging what setups you have for potential. A half hour a day you need to commit, and then you need to commit another, let's call it 10 minutes in the evening. That's the minimum requirement, and you need to commit to that. The most important thing you can do is your chart analysis. So the pound is tough right now because of all of the Break exit. I'll call it nonsense, right? So I've been staying away from the pound, and I will continue to stay away. It's just too volatile, too many variables that are unknown for me. I'm looking for high probability. The one thing that I noticed is I try to draw my trend lines and supply and resistance lines in the meat of the moves, where you're drawing them at the extremes. Do you have an example, Brandon? Yeah, I'm a big believer in trading what's on your chart. Always trade what's on your chart. Okay, that's good self-awareness, Brandon. That's really good self-awareness. Yeah, Gene, let's do that. Um, do you want to do that this week? Should we do that on Thursday? What time? Because I'm not familiar, Gene, is a good time for those down under. Could you let me know in Eastern time what is a good time, Gene? Because I would like to do that at least every other week. That's right. I don't use the no. I don't use it because it's very heavily weighted towards. I know that the DXY is heavily weighted towards the euro, and the JXY is very heavily weighted towards the US dollar, Japanese yen. It seems to me that there's not really an edge on focusing on the US dollar, Japanese yen, or the Japanese yen index. I don't. Maybe some people do. I don't. So those are priced in on Wednesday. So that you pay an interest swap. It's called an FX, right? First of all, do not ever worry about whatever the swap is, because it is meaningless compared to how much money you lose or make on pips. Do not ever pay attention to what the swap is. I mean, we don't trade exotics. No one's trading the Turkish lira here, right? That's a different story. We don't trade the ruble. Do not focus on what the swap is. Focus on simply taking the trades as you should take them. How with the weekend rate, it doesn't matter if you're holding it over the weekend or not. That's priced in on whoever's holding what on Wednesday. It's priced in on Wednesday. Don't consider that. I think the greatest thing that you need to focus in on, Dieter, is simply um is there's a lot of noise. By noise, I mean just you're just focused in on a lot of other things instead of keeping it as simple as possible and focused in on our strategy and our game plan here. That's what's going to produce results for you. Yeah, so I don't do that on purpose. I don't send out the pairs that I'm watching, because then people are not focused on actually learning from themselves and they're leaning only on me, And that is not the goal of this program or course whatsoever. That if I do that, people then are just focused on what I'm focused in on. They're not learning to trade, and there's no way that you'll be able to go ahead and reach the goals you want to trade on in leaning on me like that. Brandon, it seems like you got it solved because you see the difference between what we're each of us are doing, and then you're able to find the medium of what works better for you. I like that awareness a lot. Oh, you're in New York yourself. Yeah. So we'll have to check in with some of the well, I could actually just look at a meetup place, but that's a great idea, Gene, and we're going to start doing that for sure. Probably even this week we'll have we'll look for an afternoon training session. I need to look at a calendar first to see what that looks like. Maybe we could pick up that conversation in the Conquering the Markets group. But that's something that I would definitely like to do. Gene, please, if you do not see me address that today in the Conquering the Markets group, please just remind me tomorrow, tag me and remind me, because that's something that I would really like to do. Thanks, Greg. Gabe, can the top of an 8-hour red candle wick ever count as a retest if that wick is very long and making a lower low? Do you have a pair that's happening on with that I could look at to see that visually? Can the top of an 8-hour red candle wick ever count as a retest if that wick is very long and making a lower low? Greg, if you have an example, please let me know. So I'm trying to find something here. This is in a downtrend that would give me some type of an example. Like this, if this bar was red and that was a very long wick, and like, is this kind of what you're looking at, Gabe? Like this bar right here, if that were red, I know that's green, but if that were red, is that what you mean? Yeah. So it's definitely a retest. It's 100% a retest into this horizontal line over here, right? Now, I probably would not take this trade because then it's right down into support. That to answer your question, yes, 100%. Now, in this particular example, I would not be taking that trade more than likely, right? Into the support over here. And I would have waited until we broke that support, came back up, retested it, and then made the resumption down. But yes, to answer your question, it is absolutely a retest. So WTI, Stefan, you're wondering whether or not it becomes interesting. And again, right now, yes, it becomes interesting to trade now. But for me, let me zoom out a little bit. All right. So it looks like we're waiting for the close here on the daily. It looks like we're losing 37 support over here, right? So as we said in the live stream today, I think this is pretty strong support over here down at 34, 32, whatever it is. I think down over there, I would be looking to lean into buy. And I also think if we close above here, and that might be an interesting place to buy as well. But I would not be looking to sell oil personally. I still think that we are in an uptrend, and I'm not even personally interested in oil. Now, just like we looked at what were we on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, we were looking on a larger time frame. So, are you looking at this as a downtrend? We pulled back into some major support. Are we now setting up? Maybe. I don't know. And maybe. I would be waiting to see some big technical breaks here on the equity markets. If we lost over here, if we lost call it 32.32, right? As soon as we lost this trend line over here, I become super, super cautious. But you do realize there is one more trend line that we have to come through, and it's down over here. Like you see that touch. So it's really 32.32. If we lose that, that's a big technical break for me. At that point, I might be looking to get really involved in long Japanese yen pairs, specifically versus the New Zealand dollar. And I also might be looking at that point saying and focusing more on short oil. I would be waiting for really it to be clear and pronounced personally. That's just that. I'm not saying that's just my own personal perspective. Dan, I'm only interested in high probability trades also. There's nothing wrong with being timid at this point, except that, Dan, now that we're entering September here, if you're not finding yourself taking 3 trades a week over these next few months, you have to force yourself to do it, because this is a training exercise and program, and you're not going to make the forward progress you need by not doing that. Okay? Because we only look for high probability trades. The exotics have lower volume. They have higher swap rates. You'll make a lot more money not taking risks than you will taking risks. My only goal here is to get you becoming a profitable trader. Yeah, Jesse is completely on that. He's just waiting for approval from Amazon. We had Jim's son put together that beautiful artwork, and now Jesse's taking care of everything on the back end and all the logistics. It's just going to be a matter of very soon he'll have them available for all of us. We'll be able to order through Amazon. You don't think you're asking the right questions. Rex, the only thing that you need to focus in on is sending me that one email titled First Goal with your MyFX book, and we're going to look at why you're stuck on break even. Greg, I missed the first part of that conversation. So, this for me is we're in a big downtrend over here, right? It's very murky. What's murky about it? Like that whole area of congestion, you got all this supply right above us that we're coming into that resistance. I think it's a good place to be looking for a possible short up here. But man, that for me, it's messy. This is really messy, and I don't like it at all. Oh, the long wick. Got it. Luis, I look at the Euro-US dollar, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, pound Swiss franc. Interesting. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar gives me a feel of the market. And then I have an intuition is which currency is stronger and which one is weaker. That might work for someone else as well. I don't use MyFX books. I will start doing that and mirror all the trades that okay. Thank you, Rex. That's really important. It's so that little bit of an extra hassle for you, that little bit of an extra step, because you're trading on maybe a broker that doesn't connect to MyFX book, Rex. But by doing that and placing those trades also at the same time on MyFX book, that's really going to give me a lot more of an insight to be able to help you get through this, to get you to pop from where you are right now, struggling on break even. No. So I think that we're going with all the different versions, and people get to go with what they want. There's like 3 or 4 different versions. One just kind of clean with conquering, trading, and investing in a little chart, but there's lots of different choices. Wow, I think I need a sip of tea over here. What else? What do we want to focus in on right now, everybody? Or we're gonna call it a session. I'm in no rush either which way. The U.S. dollar, Mexican peso. This is the only exotic that we do trade. So I mean, it's really clear. It's really clear in that you see that we touched down into that support, bouncing off that support, and now we've bounced into that. Look at that. You see this resistance right there? Well, that's a line that does. Sorry. You see that resistance right there? That also goes back to see that touch and that touch. That's a good level to focus in on. If you're being rejected over here, do you want to take the short there? I don't know, Why don't I know? So first of all, what's been very unusual for me. Sorry, some things are not black and white, and that's the thing about trading. It's nuanced. First of all, I talked about going short on the US dollar Mexican peso when we were much higher, right? We were in the mid, 22 to 50 range. Now I was targeting that area over here, and I'm hoping we break, but I don't know that we'll break. What's really interesting about the US dollar Mexican peso is that as the equity markets were coming off, you saw the US dollar making massive gains versus the peso. And that correlation has now broke. As you saw during this correction in the equity markets, the Mexican peso stayed stronger than the dollar. So that to me was kind of like some type of indication that this is nothing more than a pullback on the equity markets, not the sign of something bigger. Otherwise, I would have seen the dollar appreciating versus the peso, and it's not. Do I think that the US dollar Mexican peso is offering an opportunity here to add to a position, like into that resistance over there? Are you looking to take that short going into that? For me, I'd want to see the breakdown of this support level first. If you get a breakdown of that support level, then on the retest and resumption down, that becomes a high probability trade. That might be where you want to look to add to the US dollar Mexican peso. This was obviously right where we were focused in on it. There's a long wick over there. I think right now, taking a short here off of that resistance, but into the support, I don't really like to do that. Good, Brandon. Very good. Yeah. There's one thing that's very important to understand is that trading is very nuanced. For sure, the strategy that we follow in the course, right, is black and white and as clear and defined as possible. And the goals that it's looking achieving are just absolutely phenomenal. There's nothing else to say about that, right? But trading itself is quite nuanced, and I was very clearly tracking. First, let me clear up everything for you. Can I do this? Hold on one second, please. Giles, you're also riding you're also riding that momentum of the whole Break exit. Let me do this. I want to clean all this up really quick, and I want to show you exactly what's going on and what was going on, right? I was very clearly tracking this. I was tracking this consolidation inside this triangle. And then we broke out to the upside, retested, and resumed off, right? And then what happened? We came back down into here. So then I said, all right, very clearly at that point, all right, maybe as Brandon was saying, I need to be a little looser with my line. And I'm still tracking that triangle like this. And also you could see that trend line goes all the way like that. Right? That's what I was focused in on tracking. Now today, it's very clear to me that this is also at the same time looking like a descending triangle. Right? So I have to be flexible. Right? I have to be flexible. It's very clear if we break down here, then we have a possible big move to the downside because we broke down from the descending triangle. But I can't be bearish yet. Here's a better look at it. I can't be bearish until we break down over there, right? And when I say bearish, just looking for a prolonged pullback to really lean into. Pound Japanese yen. Does that make sense on gold? Oh my goodness. That's a big move. So, Giles, by the way, and I still look at this as an uptrend, personally. I don't think you're wrong by looking at that as a long-term downtrend and everything you did. But what I'm saying over here is where you need to watch out for. You're into some support right over here. It's low. You could see it, right? That's the big support down over there. If we trade down to 136.73, I'll be looking to lean in, maybe, right? That's probably where you're targeting. Yeah, of course, Michael. Guys, let me go back to that in 1 second. I'm gonna go back to your pound Japanese yen in 1 second. So this is, I mean, Bitcoin is very, very simple right now. See that blue box we're in? We're consolidating in there. It could go either way. We could break down, and if we break down, we're definitely targeting this area right over here. Boom. Or if we break out to the upside and we clear back above this resistance here at 1057, so bullish, and maybe we never close the gap. But this blue box is your guide, and there's no edge one way or the other. It's 50-50 in my opinion. All right, pound Japanese yen. I want to see your notes on that. So it seems like you were really dialed into more of the flow of the market today. It made a lower low after a retest. If I come down to the 8 hour, which broker are you using? Maybe, is it Oanda? On Oanda. Oh, you posted. I'm going to look there in the chat and I'll pick up the conversation there with you. Yep, I see the support clear, Brendan. And there's nothing below it all the way down to 1.2818. Interesting. Okay, Kenneth. So this is a good question. Actually, a very good question. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, having trouble worrying about taking profits. So I'm in this trade also, by the way. I was watching that bull flag, right? There's also horizontal support right over there, right? And so right here, as you come into, excuse me, I should have eaten something. It looks like, Kenneth, you're breaking above, right? It looks like you're breaking above out of that bull flag right now. Okay? Now, you should be taking a small piece of profit into this trend, into this resistance over here. You're already broken above it right now, it appears. But you should take a small piece of profit off. This is the first resistance into the trade, right? Move your stop loss now to break even. What you should be targeting, you shouldn't. Right? You should know where your exit is. You should know where you're getting out of your trade, always your stop loss. But you want to give this room to run. So this is after breaking, if you break out of this bull flag right now, the next bit of resistance is coming up over here. Right? You're not looking to take profit into that resistance. You're looking to push a trade always multiple resistance. Now, the first area that I would be looking to take profit in myself is into here, testing these highs over here. Okay? You have to really be looking to push your trades and not being a rush to get out of good trades. You want to be in a rush to get out of bad trades. You're looking to push trades multiple levels. There's no magic formula. There's no magic formula on where you're looking to take your profit, except that you're not looking to take profit into the first levels of resistance, right? Now, we need to, depending on what's going on, if price is able to make it over here, if price is able to push into here, depending what's going on with the market right here, right? If we might look to push this for a breakout over here and even further, or that might be the place to take full profits. But never take profits off the table before your second level out of resistance when buying or second level of support when selling. Never before there. Do not try to have like your take profit in. As I enter a trade, I always have my stop loss in, and very rarely a take profit level in there. I'm fading out over here, so I'm going to go get something to eat. We're going to call it a session. We're actually going to try to do an afternoon session later this week for definitely those down under. We'll figure that out that's a good thing to know, that more people are having problems. The simple rule is you're looking to push those trades. You're at least going for the second. So when buying the second resistance level out, at least, or support level when selling. Thank you, Gabriel. Sometimes I don't know. Thank you for that. I love the nuggets. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking the time. We're going to continue to look to make lots of forward progress. Be looking out for the videos, the montage videos. Those are extremely helpful. The CTM playlist, let me pull that up for anyone who's new here that does not have it. You should be receiving emails. If you're not receiving the emails, do check your bulk folder. Let me go ahead over here. Thanks, Will. I appreciate that very much. I'm sorry I faded out here at the very end. Thank you, everybody. Awesome, Giles. Giles, could you please reply to that chart and tag me in it right now, please? So after I eat, I can come back and take a look with you. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you from the heart for that. Thank you very much. Vincent, great to see you, brother. Like it. Love the attitude, love the energy. Thank you for always being so positive and helping us. Derek, Wes, Kenneth, thank you, everybody. Awesome, Michael. Glad you're here with us. Thank you, Jude. That's right, Kenneth. It does come from experience. Thank you, Giles. I gotta stay healthy. Everybody, I'll see you soon.